The United States government is subsidizing one of the biggest marketing channels in the world that I think a lot of people forget about.
The harder way is usually the better way, which is the whole thesis of stop cold emailing because it's easier, therefore it's not as good.
We love the model with the middleman. You don't ever hold any inventory. You're not ever actually doing the service. You're just connecting the buyers and sellers, essentially.
We want to combine two tidal waves, take two mega trends and put them together.
That'd be a perfect piggyback, dude.
We need a Doge for the government's profit center, not just for their cost center. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes, we need a Doge for revenue, dude.
Anytime I have a business idea, I try to save it for this, for us, because it's fresh and the energy's there and you can feel it and the listener can feel it. And it's just very authentic. And sometimes I get an idea and I'm like, I legitimately want to do this. Therefore, I don't want to talk about this. Someone's going to do this. Okay. Yeah. But hey, law of abundance. That's why we're here, right? Here's my framework Friday for us today. We talk about trends. We talk about tidal waves. You want to ride a tidal wave, make it easier on yourself. Here's a framework Friday for you. We want to combine two tidal waves. Okay. So take two mega trends and put them together. And you're probably likely to get something even more legitimate.
Yeah. A mega trend.
Absolutely. Can I tell you what I have in mind today?
Yes. Come on.
These two things are trending right now. Sourdough. Everyone's baking sourdough. Microplastics. Right? Same page?
Okay. Quick aside. This would be a great segment for us to continue to do, where we just find two random trending things and figure out a way to bring them together. That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Muhammad, remind us of that. Muhammad's like, I'm not your assistant. That's not my role.
Muhammad's like, I don't even speak English. I don't know what you say.
All right. So, sourdough and microplastics. So sometimes if I'm short on ideas, which I'm never short on ideas, I like to log into my Namecheap account and look at all my domain names and just think, all right, Chris, what were you thinking when you bought buttcracksanonymous.com or whatever it is, right? What were you thinking, Chris? I just made that up. I don't actually own that domain. Okay.
They're a recovery group. They're addicted to butt cracks. I don't know what you want me to say. There are dozens of us.
A few years ago, I bought a bunch of domain names about plastics and microplastics. One of them is nevertouchedplastic.com. Like to buy things that have never touched plastic, like water, bottled water that at any point in the supply chain, it has never been in contact with plastic. So, okay, I don't plan on doing anything with that anytime soon. But then I started making sourdough this week. Okay. I'm going to assume, Nick, that you don't know anything about sourdough.
I do. I know nothing about sourdough.
Okay. Sourdough bread is made of 3 ingredients: flour, water, salt. Okay. There's no yeast because the sourdough is a natural yeast. You combine 1 part flour, 1 part water, mix it every day. You dump out half of it and you replace it with 1 part flour, 1 part water every day for a week or two. Then you got sourdough because the bacteria basically
you can make sourdough from scratch? I thought you needed a starter for sourdough.
I'm talking about making starter, which you use to make sourdough bread. Yeah. It's just bread and water or flour and water.
Okay.
Anyway, so I've been making some starter and it's done and it's awesome and it smells amazing. And today I made my first loaf of sourdough with my own starter and it's cool. All right. It's fun. I put my starter in a glass jar because if it gets warm in there and plastic breaks down and I don't want microplastics in my starter. So I start talking to our friend ChatGPT and I said, hey, tell me about microplastics in sourdough starter. Theoretically, if I have microplastics in my sourdough starter, will I have microplastics in all of my loaves of sourdough bread for the next century? It's like, yeah, well, theoretically, there'll be less and less and less, but you will, right?
Okay.
So I'm like, that's fearful. Fear sells. How can I sell that? Okay. And so I've been very cautious to not put any plastic in contact with my sourdough starter. And then I thought, okay, starter is a commodity. You can buy it for $5 on Amazon, Facebook Marketplace, anywhere. There needs to be an ultra premium sourdough starter that has never touched plastic, that is made with the finest of water, hand milled flour, whatever it is. It doesn't matter how premium the ingredients because the cost will be very, very low regardless. Because in order to start starter, you just need a little bit. So basically, you make sourdough starter and then you dry it out, you remove all the water, and then you can sell it on the internet as just a powder. And then they can mix it in with flour and water and create their own starter from your starter. So that's idea number 1, is like an ultra premium sourdough starter that has never touched plastic.
Okay, so this is already a thing. Like never touch plastic is a thing?
No, it's my domain name. It's my website.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you have a never touch plastic domain site, and there's different niches within that you like. Sourdough could be one of them. Hey, this is never touch plastic. And you could have a whole host of other things of quote unquote never touch plastic.
Yeah. And I love the idea because of the angle behind the idea, which is like a TikTok video that's like, why are you putting microplastics in your sourdough starter? Your grandkids will be eating your microplastics that's still in your sourdough starter, right? It's like, it's fear cells and it's fear. So that's like idea number one, is just to sell a sourdough starter that's literally never touched plastic. Okay.
Okay. Love it.
Idea number two is like a marketplace. It's like the Etsy for things that have never touched plastic, like sourdough starter, where anyone can build, buy, and sell on the marketplace to each other. People that are most concerned about microplastics.
Paradoxically, I like the idea of the marketplace better than just the niche idea. I like the idea of you turning never touch plastic just into a marketplace like Etsy.
What's a bigger idea?
It is a bigger idea, but I also think it could be Reddit-like. Like it doesn't need to have a slick user interface to get it launched.
Well, there are companies like ShareTribe that will allow you to launch your own marketplace without any coding experience. Super easy, like your own eBay, basically.
Yeah.
$100 a month.
You're a part of a lot of Reddit groups, Facebook groups. I think you could pretty easily get people going to that website and exchanging ideas, even if it was just started as, hey, my sourdough idea. And then all of a sudden it's Reddit for never touch plastic. And then people are starting different subreddits, quote unquote, or whatever, that are talking about specific niche ideas. I don't know, like food would be one of them. Is there anything would clothes? Like there's got to be like never touch plastic for clothes, right? That's got to be a big one.
Yeah. And what you can do on this site is you can have like a certification program where they can pay me or the site owner to send in their product to third-party labs that test for microplastics, because there is like a measurable number attached to microplastics.
Okay, dude, I just thought of this. What if instead, yes, it's a marketplace, but you just went and like aggregated all of the never touch plastic things. So you went to Berkey, you went to whoever's doing this, Brian Johnson's company, because there's probably no consolidated place where people can actually go and find these
just
things, right?
Affiliate links.
It's literally just a landing page that directs people to these different websites that offer at a certain threshold of whatever parts per million of plastic, companies that are certified to sell on the website. Then you don't even need to worry about the community thing.
Yeah. I mean, it could be, I was never really thinking a community. I'm thinking like a marketplace.
Marketplace.
Like eBay,
Sorry. I meant marketplace. Yeah.
But it could literally just be a Shopify store where you list a Berkey for sale and it's just drop shipped. And I don't say drop ship in the spammy, like, no, the spammy way. I mean, in the literal way, where you sell a Berkey at X price. When it sells, Berkey gets a notification and they ship it to the end customer and you take a margin there, right? So you're not fulfilling any products.
You remember how early on we decided you can't bring up an idea unless you have distribution? I think I have a new thing we need to add. You can't bring up an idea unless you talk about how you would use ChatGPT or AI. In particular, it's like, I would use deep research to be like, okay, find me all the premium products that market themselves as plastic free. And I would just start getting a list. And, we know about affiliate marketing. I then would start reaching out to those people. You could do it through Operator, but Operator's just not there yet. But now you have the list, you could automate it. You start reaching out to them and say, hey, can I have an affiliate link? And you just start building out this website. And then everything that we've talked about with programmatic SEO, you start building out a programmatic SEO that's all pointing to never touch plastic. And then you have the affiliate links that then when people come there, they're then clicking out. Like it would probably take 6 months to a year, but I would think then you just have this literally passive income based on a website that you built using deep research to identify the products that you want to have on the website and then automating the outreach so you can get the affiliate links. I think that's a really cool idea.
We just talked about passive income and drop shipping in the same conversation. Like
all the non-ironic.
All the legitimate listeners have already turned us off. Retention just fell off a cliff.
And then you can sell a course on how to do it.
Yeah.
I like that idea. Let's go on. Well, next month, it'll be a year since I started this podcast. I've had over 100 interviews. It's been a ton of fun, but I promised my wife at some point I would decide whether or not this was going to be a business or we would just continue to pay for it out of our pocket. And I'm exploring monetization, to be honest with you. There's not a ton of costs, but I do want to figure out a way to cover the editing and the packaging and the promotion costs of putting this podcast together. So I am looking for sponsors. I don't know what that looks like. If you've enjoyed this podcast and you've ever found some value and you want to sponsor, reach out to me, nick@cofounders.com, and let's get back into it. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
So I'm not going to get political on here, but I am going to bring up something that has politics involved. Doge. You're familiar with what's going on with Doge, right?
Yep.
Department of Government Efficiency. There we go. It's actually really funny. Did you know that Doge is not a new government entity? Like they couldn't create a new government organization. They just rebranded an existing government organization as Doge. It was like I can't remember what it was. It's like IT, informatics, some department, whatever. Anyway,
something that needed rebranding.
So you got Doge coming in, and I heard a couple of really cool ideas this week. One of them just automatically sent a light bulb in my mind because you and I talk a lot about piggybacking. I love piggybacking. So I'm going to ask you this question.
Are you about to bring up a piggybacking idea? Because I'm going to follow you.
I'm about to bring it up, bro.
Okay.
I want you to guess which government program subsidizes entrepreneurs the most, more than any other program, more than the SBA, more than probably even tax credits. You ready for this? And we're going to go through an example. The United States Postal Service. I don't think people think about this a lot.
I was not about to guess that, but that's a good point.
The United States Postal Service is subsidized by the government. It is not profitable. It has not been profitable for a very long time. In fact, just in the last few days, they moved the Postal Service under the Department of Treasury so that it's now being managed by the Treasury as opposed to being a standalone agency. So I did some research. I used deep research for this. And the stuff that I found freaking blew my mind. If I were to send 10,000 postcards, just regular 4x6 postcards, 1 ounce, and I were to send that through FedEx, give me a ballpark per postcard, what it would cost me.
They don't really do that. It would be multiple dollars per postcard in my experience.
In the realm of like $1.25 per postcard. Now, granted, I could be off with my research. That's what I'm coming up with. The United States Postal Service, how much does it cost to send on a per postcard basis?
20 to 40 cents.
So it costs right now between 33 and 36 cents per postcard. So right there, let's just say $1 and then let's say 33 cents. 67 cent difference, 67 cent cost savings by going through the USPS versus FedEx. But wait, there's more. If you have bulk rates, so you actually have a permit to send bulk items through the USPS, that rate actually will come down to anywhere between 20 cents and 29 cents per postcard.
You're talking to the former owner of Chunky Mailers now.
I know.
Come on.
Okay. So tell us your idea with Chunky Mailers.
Chunky Mailers is built on the thesis that people do not throw away packages. They throw away postcards and spam mail, but not a package with something in it. So Chunky Mailers is an outsourced mailing service for small and to medium-sized businesses where we would send out an advertisement, a flyer inside of like a padded envelope with some sort of an item in there, maybe like a disposable toothbrush or something, just to get them to open it and be more likely to read the ad.
Yeah. So people aren't going to throw it away, and it's a marketing channel. So that was the idea behind Chunky Mailers. We worked with Christian Ruff. Shout out to Christian for like a hot minute.
And it's called jumbo mail marketing now, by the way. It's still a thing.
And physical mail, it has very different rules and regulations as opposed to email. You would know this better than me. Like you can send whatever the freak you want through the mail, but there's lots of rules about spamming emails.
It's crazy to me.
It's crazy, right? Like emails, hey, you got to have a like opt-out list and you can't spam people and you'll get banned from Gmail if you're sending too many spam emails. But the US Postal Service, you can send whatever the freak you want.
My mailbox is literally 200 feet from my front door. And you know how many times I walk all the way out to the mailbox, huffing and puffing, only to pull out a bunch of junk mail? Like, because you're right. Like, I can easily delete an email or just set up a filter to never even see those emails. But the people who do that to me, like, could be fined or worse. But anyone can mail anything to anyone they want in the mail.
It's crazy. It's freaking crazy. But I want to walk through these numbers just to like, okay, that sounds cool. Let's just say the average cost savings is 70 cents per postcard. Okay. What does that mean? This is a marketing channel. Let's say we have 2 founders and they each send out 10,000 postcards to acquire a customer. For founder number 1, they do it through FedEx. Founder number 2 does it through the USPS. FedEx, they just spent $10,000 to send out 10,000 postcards. Founder number 2 just spent $300 to send out 10,000 postcards. And let's say that their percentage of conversion is the same. So of the 10,000, let's say that they convert, and I'm just going to use like really easy numbers because I'm painting a picture, right? Of the 10,000, they convert 1%. So they convert 10 people, and each of those 10 people represents a lifetime value of, let's just call it $100. For the first founder who spent $10,000 and got 10 customers, what's the customer acquisition cost?
$1,000?
Yep. They spent $10,000. They got 10 customers. It was $1,000 per customer. Customer acquisition cost was $1,000 per customer, right? Founder number 2 spent $300 and got 10 customers. Their customer acquisition cost was $30.
33x difference.
Massive difference, 33x. Then you go to the LTV and you say each customer has $100 LTV.
Lifetime value.
And the way that people will look at these not equations, but ratios is like, if your lifetime value to customer acquisition cost is 3 or higher, that's fantastic. Like you're doing a really good job. That's the ballpark that you want to be in, right? So founder number 1 has spent $1,000 to acquire one customer whose LTV is 100. So they've got literally a negative ratio of LTV to CAC. Founder number 2, it's not negative, but it's a decimal as opposed to a whole number. Founder number 2 spent, what did we say? $30 for $100 LTV. So he's got an LTV of 3.33. So he's in the golden range. Now they're selling the same product, but if your customer acquisition cost, your LTV to customer acquisition cost is 3 versus 0.0001, which business model is viable? The second founder.
Right.
Because he has distribution. So why did I just go through all that stupid math? Hopefully not a lot of people checked out. The point of it is the United States government, at least for right now, is subsidizing one of the biggest marketing channels in the world that I think a lot of people forget about, which is postal. We think about email marketing. We think about texts. We think about Facebook and Google ads and all that other crap. But we don't think a lot about postal. So I wanted to talk with my boy and think about what are some cool business ideas we could piggyback off of the Postal Service. We already talked about jumbo mailers. That was rad. Here's one idea to get us started. Do you remember your idea about the Uber drivers like a couple months ago? That they would become like marketers? They would work for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a way we could do that with Postal Service drivers? They have routes. Like, is there something we could do with Postal Service drivers where we just have a survey of Postal Service drivers? It's like, hey, how many houses did you see for sale? Or, maybe it's informatics that we're collecting from them. Maybe it's sentiment we're collecting from them. Maybe it's like, hey, I want to know how many houses are in foreclosure in this area, or like which area has unkempt yards, or there's got to be something that we could like glean from these postal drivers. They just know their routes exceptionally well. So like, could there be a way for us?
I got an idea. What do you want? Can I say it? Dude, so I tweeted a while ago about driving for dollars, right? The best way to find good real estate deals. What do we say on this podcast? The harder way is usually the better way, which is the whole thesis of stop cold emailing because it's easier, therefore it's not as good, right? There are exceptions, sure. But direct mail is hard and it's a lot more expensive than cold email, but it's probably the better way, right?
Yeah.
So when you're looking for off-market real estate properties, everyone wants to do the sexy thing. They want to cold call, cold text, cold email. Okay. But the best way, the most efficient way, because efficiency and effectiveness are always at odds with each other. The most efficient way is driving for dollars. Driving around, let's just talk about single family, driving around neighborhoods, finding the ugly homes, going online, looking up the tax records, getting someone on the phone that has an ownership interest in that home. Okay. So I had a business partner that used to find these ugly homes by hiring people in all kinds of markets across Texas and Oklahoma on Craigslist to go around with flyers and, put a flyer on the door of a house like this. And then they just wait. And after they put the flyer on the door, they would take a picture of it, write down the address, send it to my business partner. And then he would get to work at finding them. But he needed physical people on the ground to drive for dollars, and he would pay them per door. So why not just, and I've done this, roll up to the post office in the morning when they're all about to leave for their routes at the same time, because they do, and say, hey man, first of all, there's apps that you can download to your phone that are like, it will basically tie your phone's camera to the address of the house using, it's just turning on your geolocation services, right? And just
what do you mean?
Hey man, it's just an app that takes pictures that will tie the picture to the address of the house. So like you take a picture of a house and then it will show over the picture what the address is. So, hey man,
geostamp. Yeah.
Yep. Will you download this app? Anytime you see a house that looks like crap, take a picture of it, text it to me, this number right here. I'll send you $10 for everyone. This is what I do. I buy houses like these, yada, yada, yada. Boom.
That's a really cool idea. Here's my next question. Why doesn't the government monetize this? I know that, gosh, I can't believe I even said that. Oh my gosh. I hope I get roasted for even saying that.
There it is.
So stupid.
Muhammad, leave this in.
But in all seriousness, if I'm the government, why would you not turn these people who are already delivering packages into another, I guess, revenue channel? So like, for example, how crappy are surveys? Have you ever tried to get a survey? Right? Like of a sample set of random people who are willing to take a survey. Do you know how the surveys work, by the way? I'm going to go like
sure
rabbit hole right now.
Sure.
I have a friend who works at Qualtrics. Qualtrics is like the preeminent survey company, right? They do surveys for corporations, governments, whoever else. And this is the way that they currently do their surveys. There are opt-in lists of people who have said, yep, I'm willing to do a survey. So they contact those people. And most of the time there's some like monetary incentive involved with it. It's like, hey, we'll pay you X because the corporation has said, here's the budget for us to conduct the survey. And so people who have opted into the survey are getting a little bit of a financial incentive. There's two problems with that. The first problem is you have a biased sample set. So the people who have opted into the survey, it's not necessarily representative of the whole population. The second problem is they're opting into the survey for financial reasons, right? So you don't know whether or not the information that they're giving you is correct. They could have just said like they just wanted money and so they're going to get an answer. But it's the best that they have. And so they do their best based on these surveys to extrapolate information and then make decisions. Now we saw what happened in the 2016 election with
Remind
polling
me to give
data.
You a business idea after this.
Yes. Okay.
Keep going.
With polling information where it's like, oh, Donald Trump's going to lose. Donald Trump's going to, and then he freaking pulls it out, right? So there's obviously big error rates because of not only who is participating, but how they choose to answer the questions that they're participating in. All right. So that's problem number one. Why wouldn't the government, why wouldn't they let Qualtrics use their distribution channel of people who are delivering mail to like conduct surveys? You know what I mean? Charge Qualtrics however much money.
I mean, the government could let any company use all of their many distribution channels, the Postal Service being one of hundreds or thousands, for any number of monetization purposes, right? Like, right. Amen.
Because like Doge, well, that's my point. It's like Doge is just focused on cutting costs. And that's important. Don't get me wrong. What about increasing revenue? Not increasing revenue through taxation, but like increasing revenue through generating revenue, like literally generating revenue. They have all of these vacant office buildings. Sell the leases. There's revenue there that they can generate. We need a
Doge for the government's profit center, not just for their cost center. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes, we need a Doge for revenue, dude. What? Oh my, did we just invent that, dude?
Did we just invent revenue?
They're Doge, and this is Dogger, the Department of Government Revenue.
Oh, wow.
I'm a dirty boy, my friend.
Who do we get on this? We getting Bezos on this? What are we doing? He's retired, right?
You're the influencer now between the two of us. Could you talk to Elon?
I'll see what I can do.
Do you have any pull?
Be
honest. Do you have any pull?
I'll see what I can do. See what I can do. Can I give you my business idea? That's built off of what you just said?
Yes.
Okay. Surely you saw that tweet of the guy that launched a business that can basically predict if you're going to go viral on Twitter before you ever tweet. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah. It's like $1,000 a year or something. And you it connects to the Twitter API. You type in your tweet and it pulls all the data points and is like, yeah, this isn't going to go viral, or this is going to go viral with 84% certainty.
No way.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Does it work?
Right? I don't know.
Okay.
He's like onboarding people right now. We'll assume it works.
Is this Alex Finn?
No, but he's copying that.
Okay.
He's launching his own version of that because that guy's tweet went viral and he's getting a lot of crap for it, but he's like, hey, don't hate the player. Like, whatever. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's the idea. Qualtrics built on AI. What are we doing? You take a company that has all this survey data. It knows that a 36-year-old in Omaha, Nebraska that makes $74,000 a year, that has 3 kids, that's Christian, that's Republican, yada. It knows how they fill out surveys, right? You upload all this survey data into AI and you say, all right, give me the survey results for all these questions based on this demographic within 80% reasonable certainty. How much does Qualtrics charge? A stupid amount. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. You could charge a fraction of what Qualtrics charges. It's like what Chamath said about 80-20, right? It's like, or it's like 90% of the features for 90% less cost. So it's the AI version of Qualtrics for 90% less.
So you're saying like Qualtrics has already done all of these surveys and they're just kind of repurposing the surveys and you're
Forget
mining it through
Qualtrics.
AI? Oh, okay.
Just like
Sorry.
any.
All right, now's the part of the show where I feel the most uncomfortable, but my therapist says I need to face my fears. So here we are. I've started a newsletter and I want you to subscribe. And what you're going to get every single week are the aggregated conversations from that week that I have on this podcast with an overview of what their business actually looks like. I'm also going to throw in a review of 1 or 2 businesses that are listed for sale. I'll give you my opinion on whether or not the EBITDA multiple is good, or there's customer concentration, or there's red flags or green flags. And then lastly, I'm going to give you one piece of actionable advice every single week on how to buy your first business. So click the link below, subscribe to my newsletter, and let's get back into the show.
Any company, whether it's like a corporation that sends out surveys, or it could be Qualtrics, that already has survey data or not, or like one company aggregates all the survey data they can, uploads it to AI, and then a company's like, all right, I want these 38 questions to be answered based on this type of person in the United States or in Moldova or wherever.
Broski.
And it just spits out the answers.
Okay. This isn't necessarily an idea for specific business. Do you remember what the like big problem was with social media a few years ago when they're making so much money and user data? People are like, I'm the product. Why are you making money off of me? This is ridiculous. I think in the future, why would you not be able to opt into these surveys and say, hey, look, this is my agent. They have access to all of my information. They've seen my emails. They've seen my texts. Maybe they've got air.ai pendant. They know everything about me. I don't have to answer a stupid survey. My AI will know the answer. They'll do it for me.
Yeah.
And I can opt in and you can pay me. And it's like revenue generating off of your agent because they want to know that information and they want it to be accurate, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, no skin off my back. I'll just use my agent to answer the questions and I generate a little bit of money. Why would you not do that?
Yeah. So it's basically the other side of that marketplace you're saying.
100%.
That's kind of solving the consumer side of it. So instead of Qualtrics giving a $10 Starbucks gift card to John, it's given a $10 Starbucks gift card to John's agent, and John's chilling, making passive income. That's the second passive income mention of the episode.
Dude, that is really going to be a pass. Like 10 years from now, you're going to people who are going to be like, this is passive, bro. All you have to do, spin up an agent, put your information on there. You could be making $10 a day. And why not? Why wouldn't you do that?
And Qualtrics is like, well, we can't give you $10 because it's an agent. Okay, give me $5. I don't care because it's going to take 1,000 of these a day. Whatever.
Dude, and how much more money would people pay for that survey data? I'm on YouTube. I put videos on YouTube. I made $100 on YouTube last month. You don't need to worry about me. Okay.
Okay. I'm not worried about you now. I was.
And there are times where I'm trying to watch a YouTube video and it's like, to have no ads in this video, fill out this brief survey. It's like, which rental car did you use in the last month? I don't even read the questions. I just pick one. I'm like, pick next. You know what I mean?
You're a rebel, dude.
I am a rebel. But like,
do you have a template recommend? Huh.
I can either confirm or deny. But that's another question we need to talk about. When are template recommends going to be fully digitized? I'm tired of carrying around my recommend everywhere.
What are we doing?
Starting. Anyways.
What are we doing, guys?
I'm answering the stupid YouTube survey that didn't give them any good information because I didn't actually do those things, but they're going to take it and be like, oh, this is good information. So why would I not use AI, which actually knows those things about me, which is like, hey, in the last month, which of these rental car companies did you use? Oh, it's a good question. Let me go look at Nick's credit card information. Oh, he used Enterprise and he used Avis. Oh, interesting. Okay. Boop, boop. And then they have better information. I didn't have to do it because I think people just want to get through the survey as quickly as possible. And I can make money off of it. That would be amazing.
Do you think YouTube discounts your answer if you answer really quickly?
They must, right? They're so smart. They'd be like, oh, it's too quick of an answer.
Oh, that was Nick again. Nick, come on.
Nick. Oh, Nick. You can't. Oh, Nick, you can't answer that quick.
You're Ricky Nicky. Tim Robinson.
Go back to your old stuff. That's just a cash grab, Chris. Sorry.
That's a bunch of good ideas. It's a bunch of good ideas.
I'm really interested to see when and if that starts happening. That feels like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah. We don't need people taking manual surveys anymore.
Well, dude, and we already know that OpenAI is selling our information to whoever the advertisers are that want to know what we're searching currently in ChatGPT. So it's like, it's going to happen.
All right. So you had a piggyback idea. Can I give you mine?
Yeah.
All right. Longevity, blowing up, right? Brian Johnson, longevity. It's blowing up. It's not going anywhere. We're not going to want to suddenly start living less. Okay. What's the creme de la creme of longevity? I'll answer it for you. Plasma
Thank you.
transfusion. Okay.
Okay.
Did you know that Brian Johnson swaps blood with his like 18-year-old son?
That's the weirdest sentence I've ever.
I know.
No, I didn't. He doesn't swap blood. He swaps plasma.
Sure. The liquid part of blood,
Is plasma the liquid part of blood?
according to ChatGPT.
Oh, I thought they take blood and they put it in this centrifuge and they spin it. And so it separates the plasma from, anyways, whatever.
Anyway, and it's like, it's kind of what Lance Armstrong did. And some of the science says it helps you live longer. Some of the science is like, not really, doesn't really work like that. Nevertheless, we're not going to let real science stop a good business idea, right? Or else there'd be no skincare companies. Or,
I'm sorry, would Dr. Oz be in business if that happened? No.
So are you ready for this?
Mhm.
Why aren't any entrepreneurs out there piggybacking on dialysis clinics to do plasma transfusion for the wealthy?
Wow.
All the equipment's right there. You think dialysis clinics have no capacity? You think they're just cranking out patients 24/7?
It does depend on the dialysis clinic. I will say that because I actually know the space a little bit, but
That's why I'm talking to you about it.
yeah.
Increase your operating hours.
For people who don't know, dialysis is for people who have kidney failure, kidney disease. I'm not sure the exact definition or word that I should use, but the kidneys don't function properly. And so they have to go in frequently, depending on the severity of their diagnosis, to have dialysis. And what dialysis is essentially an artificial function of their kidney.
Filters their blood.
Yep. Which is what your kidney does. Typically, dialysis centers are very popular with the elderly population. Like, yes, there are people who have this disease that are younger, but typically it's as you age, you're more likely your kidneys stop functioning well. So they're dealing with like Medicare, Medicaid, that type of population. Recently, I've started seeing mobile dialysis clinics, but what they're doing is they're going to skilled nursing facilities and piggybacking off of a skilled nursing facility distribution. But this is not that. This is premium, right? Like this would be high-end dialysis that is offered to people. Why would you not do that? You go to a company that already has the infrastructure.
It's legal.
And it's legal, perfectly legal. And you say, I just want to test this. How would you test it? All right, that's my next question. All right, I'm with you. Find someone, they have the equipment, they have the expertise, they have the clinical team. They could go and actually provide dialysis to somebody. How would you test demand for this in your market?
I think you would need to generate some like organic PR for it. And I think it's the type of topic that could be able to do that fairly easily because it's polarizing and controversial.
Dude, okay, I know where I would go. I talked to I won't say his name, but he's a pediatric physician. His wife is a nurse practitioner. He wants to open a med spa. He's like, I want it to be a high-end med spa though. I don't want to be just like doing Botox. We want to be doing like.
Has anyone out there ever said, I want to open a low-end med spa? I mean, come on.
Well, granted, this guy's making a couple $1 million a year, and lives in Beverly Hills. So I'm sure it will be a high-end med spa.
That's where I want to be.
But
Weezer reference. Sorry. I had to say.
Gimme. I think that piggyback would then be on the med spas or like testosterone replacement therapy. Lots of guys who are on TRT.
That's smart.
Doing other hormonal therapy treatments, like just going to them and be like, hey, what's your population like? I'm more concerned about people who are paying cash and not insurance because I think that they would like this dialysis product, and then going through that. I think that would probably be the best.
Yeah. So let's say you own a med spa. You got 1,000 customers. You're going to take the top 20% that just buy all the things. They're there every month or every 2 weeks. They're buying all the things. Okay. Your high rollers. You're going to, next time they come in person, hopefully you've trained your person at the front desk. They're going to say, hey, next Tuesday, we're going to have a plasma transfusion facility here, expert, professional. And you could use one of the mobile dialysis clinics to do this. And they could literally just roll up from 1 to 6 and you could just pre-sell it. Like, hey, would you, if you book it now, you can get 30% off.
Dude, okay.
I'm going to educate them. Go ahead.
We love the model with the middleman. You don't ever hold any inventory. You're not ever actually doing the service. You're just connecting, the buyers and sellers, essentially.
You're like white labeling plasma transfusion.
Dude, you find a clinic, a med spa, you find someone who does dialysis, and you're just like, hey, I want to try this idea. What do you guys think? And you set it up. And then they do all the fulfillment. Like, you're not worried about, you don't have to go and get licensure. It's like, okay, just pay me an affiliate fee. Because if you started then doing it at these med spas, I'm just thinking logistically, it's like, okay, it's healthcare. I have to be licensed. I have to get the state on board with it. I have to go through a certification process. I've got to get the insurance because it's healthcare. And so there's a lot more risk associated with it. Then I've got to manage the employees. Like logistically, it would kind of be a nightmare, but you don't have to do that. You can be a middleman. You just go and hook up the buyers and sellers. Oh, hey, dialysis person, come meet med spa person. Whoop.
Piggyback.
That'd be a perfect piggyback, dude.
You know who would be your other market for this? Freaking cyclist, Lance Armstrong style. Because it's only illegal if you're competing, right? But most like
Vance Farmstrong?
Pants Farmstrong. That's my alter ego.
Dang it, Pants Farmstrong.
You know that the top 1 to 3% of these guys would be into it because they hear about Lance Armstrong, like, what? He cheated? Blood doping? And it made him how much faster? Oh, what a piece of crap. But how did he do it? Logistically speaking, how does one do that? What a piece of crap.
You know, would be another interesting thing is if you could go to sauna, cold plunge distributors and just ask like, hey, who's your customer list? I want to contact them. Because if somebody's dropping 10 grand for a sauna, I don't know. It's probably more than that. I don't know. But if you're dropping 50 grand for a sauna, you probably also would be interested in getting plasma treatments.